Cicadas are going off. It's Christmas party day at the Rant, or at RacingRant, well, suburbs, shall we say. The Rose of Australia Hotel, 4 o'clock Friday the 2nd of December is the place to be. And it's the end of year, Christmas drinks on us.
I'd get there early. The tab might run out very quickly by the amount of people who've told me are going, so yeah.
Yeah, and Glenn Pollard, he's an absentee for the Saturday preview. Basically, he's getting ready for this afternoon.
He is. Keen as mustard, he is.
So we've got a very interesting Starlight Stakes race 6, and Nieta gets to see a serious race, $3.20 shears. Next pick is, where is the next pick? $9 Shiraz, $10 Curo, $10 Backman, $10 Supreme Effort, $10 Mr. Manhattan. There's a few $10 chances there. $11 Hassan Eagle, $13 Prince Famous, and it's long odds the others. Now,
this is a race.
This is a race. Didn't cost a lot, is hard on speed. Prince Famous will try and lead. Whiskey All Round is on speed. Curo may have to race outside lead again. And that's your quartet in the van. I thought it was a bit of an awkward race. You might have to go a fair way back on the favourite here, Gord.
Well, this is its first test as well, but mare's flying. Let's just go. And this horse is flying.
It is.
You know, I think he can overcome obstacles and still win. I'm still going to hedge butt in the race because
she seems fairly well found.
Yeah, she does. I wouldn't be getting involved early. Hopefully there is a push due to map that gets the price out a little bit later on, so I might wait a bit there. And other than that, the one I'm going to hedge on is the one that, you know, has got the best form around the best horses, and that's number 1 Shiraz.
Stable change, Bigelow to the Wars.
Yes, and
it's become a cricketer's horse.
Has it really?
No, well, I don't know. I don't know who's in the ownership, but obviously Junior is involved now. So Shiraz has left the McAvoy yard and has had a trial for his new connection.
And it was over 1,000 metres, done in sub 1 minute. Looked pretty stylish. Loves the track, loves the distance, loves first up, has gun on board. It ticks a lot of stats boxes for me. But yet again, Nieta's flying, but I'm going to back both of them.
Fair enough. I would suggest, I was against Hassan Eagle, who's got dodgy bodgy 1,000 metre and Magic Millions form. Curo is ready, but probably doesn't get the right run. Supreme Effort had fence the other day, but he was coming back from Melbourne. Obviously a contender. Mr. Manhattan he didn't do a bad job to win the other day, and I suspect that he can be competitive in this race. And obviously Prince Famous, flattered by leading on the fence the other day, but ran some figures and will attempt to replicate, and you know, must be there in the finish. So most of the sort of 10-to-1 chances are, they have something, they have some substance. So Nieta, it'll be a very good test for Nieta tomorrow, especially if the track is a little bit unsympathetic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll know by this race, won't we?
Yeah, and who'd have thought that I'd ever see ins and outs $34?
Yes.
That seems amazing, doesn't it?
Well, finally they've caught on to how much ability it's got.
Well, you know,
it's probably a bet at those odds, but isn't it? Because you just never know.
It probably is. Now, we've got 14 to go around, and we see the rare appearance of the bull, just to torture us. 2,000 metres, the ATC Cup. It's a summer cup lead-up, and it's obviously fed by the 1,900 a fortnight back. The market sees Falkenberg at $4.80. $8 is Lady LaFay, $9 Iggy Pop, $10 Closing Bell, $10 Not a Gypsy, $11 Malice, $12 The Bull, $15 Reby the Red, $16 Refulgent, $18 Dance of Heroes, 20s and longer the others. The Bull's drawn 11, so no need to wonder which way he's going to go. Dance of Heroes has to press on, he's one battered. Reby the Red will not be very far away from gate 1, if not leading initially. Iggy Pop maybe have to be persuaded forward from his white gate to try and slot in. And Mighty Lucky is very fresh. 1400 up to 2000, a trial 3 weeks ago. He finds himself well and truly forward. Look, the really interesting thing about this race, Gord, is I think that the first 4 across the line from the lead up, Falkenberg, Iggy Pop, Dance of Heroes and Malice, they all raced on the rails there a fortnight ago. Not that you've spent a lot of time on this race, it's obviously your cup of tea race.
Yeah, I did go through and make notes of all horses that were running tomorrow that didn't set on the fence 2 weeks ago, but I can't even remember what they are in this race, Mike, because I was going to lean to your expert wisdom and then say something to indicate that I'm going mad again after you finish.
Yeah. I'm just saying that Falkenberg, who obviously has a chance, but had all favours the other day. Iggy Pop was totally wound up and there to perform. Ditto Dance of Heroes, and Malice was stepping up from 14 to 19, but used the fence to his advantage. So I think that this is the time for Closing Bell to perhaps show us his wares with the blinkers on. He's had the local run, he wasn't on the fence, and as I mentioned, he's got the blinkers on. Beyond Thankful B Shin at $71 is a must bet. Lady LaFay comes back from Ballarat. Gordon, you had a look at the Ballarat Cup a fortnight ago?
I've never been.
3 weeks ago, sorry.
Yeah, I've been against Lady LaFay this whole preparation, so I'm not going to start now.
G. Schofield gets on, which I think is of some interest. And
well, that definitely is, as far as figures are concerned.
It's like C. Newitt to G. Schofield. Yeah. I'm interested. Refulgent, I'm not interested. I know it's D. Weir and D. Yendall, but it's 30 days off, stepping up to 2000. Iggy Pop I've mentioned. Not a Gypsy used the fence in the other race the other day, and the bull led on the inside, which all leads you to think that Reeby the Red has some chance, because he put a hole in them in good style, good figures at Warwick Farm. First time to 2000 is prep, but did get much longer last preparation. Do have to put up with K. O'Hara, but there is a DF there that's perhaps worth looking at.
Well, I mean, we talked about the bull having have to go for a spell, and you said, quite jokingly I thought, she'll probably put it around 2,000 metres next start.
I thought 2,400 actually.
Okay.
She's building up to it. There's no 2,400 metre race for it at this stage, so it has to be in 2,000 metre.
I'm going to have something on it. I'm going to wait for it to blow. Hieronymus to Abdallah.
Yeah, there's another switch like that later on. It's called Sir Plush, same circumstances.
Yeah. This is a weird horse, isn't it? Needs a strong rider. There's no stronger rider than Brenton Abdallah. Maybe he can turn it around, because I think the horse might have some kind of ability, but also it could just be chewed up by now. But yeah, not much of a play for me in that particular race.
Yeah, well look, I'm summing up. I'm with Waller at 7 and 3. Race 8 is the race that Mighty Lucky won last year, the festival, the subject of Teen Queen's quiz last Monday on the Rant. It's over 1,500. It is, of course, the Villiers lead up, because in a fortnight's time we'll go to a mile at Randwick for the main event. Now, 1,500, the festival, the market reads $4.40 Religify, $7.50 back from Melbourne Extensible, $9.50 Hazabeel, a horse I'm quite unfamiliar with. And then we're $10 Red Excitement, $11 back from Melbourne Amavasio, and I've missed $5.50 Ragis, who is the second pick. Dean Yendall, Darren Weir again. $12 Sweet Redemption, beaten up in the Golden Cup, and $16 Marinostro, long odds the rest. Now, Religify is not drawn his outside alley this time, and he is up to 1,500, but he does appear to have been somewhat discounted after starting evens against similar horses the other day. He's now $4.40, but he wants to try and lead. Sweet Redemption is a co-leader. Foreign Prince wants to make them work. Ninth Legion just posies up there with Red Excitement. Marinostro is another one that stablemate of the favourite. I don't imagine that he's taking it on, even though he needs to be quite wound up. Yep. He's a bit dour. Famous Seamus occupies a midfield position. Extensible uses her gate, I think, to get into a reasonable spot. Away you go.
Oh, well, I mean, let's talk about Religify. Is that extra 100 metres
I don't know. Does it mean anything?
Yeah.
You know, he's at Rose Hill, the scene of his dominant win last time. Obviously flattered by the bias, but he put a hole in them.
Yep.
You know, he's a Rose Hill flat tracker. You know, he had excuses at Canterbury at 1550. He ran at a mile at Eagle Farm on one of the, you know, when Eagle Farm just started out and you had to be on the outside fence. He's going to make it hard for everyone else. Put it that way.
Yeah.
That's the least that's going to happen.
Like over 1400 metres, I'll stamp him. You know.
Yeah, but the other thing is these sort of horses, they do need to start going up in distance because it gets harder for them to control, to own the race, you know, as they get deeper in their preparation.
Obviously a great chance, and then a little bit of DF for me from down in Melbourne, number 5 Regis. I'm going for Weird to break his duck. How many runs has he had now? 10, 11, something like that?
Is it? Is that many?
No winners.
Brackart, but sort of almost should have won the all-age stakes.
Yeah. One last start, Flemington over 1400 metres. If you notice, 3 starts back, it was pretty close to Chetwood when Chetwood was flying. I think that's good enough for this. 5 and 6, I'll be doing something with those two. Has anybody lined up this hazard bill for you, Mark, or what are you making of it?
Started long odds. There's been long odds since coming over from Perth. That raced in the winter in Perth. And you know, winning the Kilmore Cup is, well, you know, it's like winning a country cup in New South Wales. I
pen it.
Nothing like a bit of decisiveness. Extensible Gord, what about her? I know she sort of had quite a lengthy campaign, but she's kept quite fresh, and she's just stalking here, and she doesn't have to carry Sea Wreath like she did last time she was here in Sydney.
No, I mean, it was dynamic when she beat Bull Rush that time, but I just don't think the Extensible Sweet Redemption lining up with each other is quite as good as Regis. So if I'm going to go for a horse coming up from Melbourne, I think Regis is coming from the superior form.
But my argument is that Extensible's got Sydney credentials, and Melbourne is just it's not a guide.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, if I'm referencing them against each other in Melbourne, Regis is a superior horse.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything from behind Volugify that represents danger? Because yet again, we tended to see, perhaps Red Excitement wasn't hard on the fence, but you know, Pajaro was fencing up, Berry Delicious was fencing up, you know, of those horses that sort of made some ground. So, you know, that
was the funny thing is, wasn't it? It was in the races, trying to find the form from 2 weeks ago of those that actually weren't on the fence. It sort of didn't line in with horses that I really wanted to back, which I was hoping for.
It hasn't presented well at all. Anyway, I would suggest that Religify and Extensible are my key runners here, and Pajaro with B Shin on board seems a bit excessive at $19. Race 9, 1500 metres again, so it's the low grade
nightcap. That's it. That's 3. That's my hat trick. You're gonna have to stop giving it to me now. I've got my 3.
Honestly, and the deliveries are getting worse.
Because you know, normally when you're talking,
that was a ranked full toss. I was like, that was just a bloody.
I know, and I just dabbed it back. I dabbed it back to the bowler too. I didn't hit it for 6, did I?
$3.20 surplus. Circumstances we alluded to earlier. Redoubtable Art is $4.80, $6.50. Duke of Valentinois with the shipper jockey on board. $11 Wine and Dine, $13 Cawthon's Power, $17 Metallic Crown, $18 Colonel, $18 Quick Defence, long odds the others. And who do I have leading? That is a good question. Metallic Crown may be a bit more positive tomorrow after the New Zealand apprentice just hung himself out there with no plan last time. Quick Defence was surprisingly handy the other day, so Plush ridden forward to lead the other day. I'd suggest that Bjorn would like to take a sit and may get that sit. Redoubtable Heart won't be as far away as he was the other day, and Just a Blur will use her inside gate to be there. Colin Little races just ahead of midfield. Cawthon's Power's been back to the trial since after doing nothing first up. What did you see, Gord?
I was more going off its run last start where Glenn said it was ready to go and didn't really do much, so that's it for the preparation with me for it.
Right, okay, it's 10.
10.
Okay, that's interesting, and I'm not totally disagreeing with that.
Very keen to bet in this race. Number 5, Redoubtable Heart. I think I mentioned before its first start back this preparation, I think this horse has come back a far better horse. You've got a positive jockey change, you're up to 1,500 metres. I think that it's going to have a really good preparation. I think it's going to win a few starts this preparation. I think that will start tomorrow. The only danger is number 8.
Yeah, who was in the favourable position the other day, but does get Abdallah tomorrow. And you know, maybe it was out of his comfort zone actually leading. You know, given that he's not identifiably a leader. Redoubtable Heart, I would like to know what went wrong there, because he was gelded after the Queensland Derby and came back with one run, and then obviously had another nearly 12 months off.
Yeah.
But has done everything right in terms of preparing himself for this race, including the rider that's found tomorrow. Duke of Valentinois moseyed home after Gunn found the fence to fence up, and then got home nicely, but loses Victoire, which is neither here nor there. But James Doyle has got to negotiate from back in the field. Metallic Crown third up, maybe. Quick Defence, as I say, showed pace first up, which was encouraging, and Wine and Dine ran a race here 2 starts ago, but possibly because the Sting was right out of the track on that occasion, and that form is looking a bit tinny. So, Redoubtable Heart, certainly a place to start there in race 9.
What are we moving on to? What we like on the program, or
that's where we're at? Yeah.
Well, Redoubtable Heart, I suppose. That's the one I'll go with, Mark.
I'll certainly have to let you have that one. That's solid as a rock. I would mention a triple play here. Certainly Trekking Shapes as well. Trekking Shapes is my best in the first, despite the rider. But I'd mention Pipeline, Isla Tristana, and Imposing Lass as horses worthy of mention there tomorrow at Rose Hill.
And all the juicy odds there, Mark.
Juicy.
What's going on? I think we've both lost our minds. Yeah.
All right, that's the preview from Rose Hill. If you're watching this early enough, don't forget to hot-foot it down to the Rose of Australia Hotel, just next to Erskineville Station, and there'll be drinks on us from 4 till 7, maybe 4 till 4:30. Do your best after that. But it's exciting. It's the inaugural RacingRant end of year / Christmas drinks.
I'm so excited. It's going to be awesome.
It's on. There.